Hi, welcome to Lesson 4 of City Vision University's Nonprofit Educational Program Design course. I'm Andrew Sears, and in this lesson we're going to be focusing on how do you learn from other programs and how do you research outside learning resources. So many nonprofits, man, they reinvent the wheel and they spend honestly hundreds of thousands of dollars reinventing the wheel, and that's something that we want to help you not do. So, if you can buy a wheel, then buy the wheel. Sometimes you don't want to do that. And how do you discern, what do you outsource and what do you keep internal? So that's a lot of what this week's about. So evaluate when to utilize external program elements and learning resources and when to develop them in-house. That's what week 4 forum is about. Research and evaluate outside learning resources to assess whether to include them in your program. So that's what this final project part 3 is going to be about. And also research and document best practices and program elements from other nonprofit programs to use in your program. So there's 2 parts, one external resources, one is just learning from others. So again, connecting this, we're still in the analysis phase of the ADDIE process. And in this week, you're looking at availability of outside curriculum and materials and learning from other programs. And this is, learning from peer organizations and external capabilities. Often, if you can buy a very effective curriculum, that may affect how you design your program because it may reduce your cost significantly and have better outcomes. So that's part of why we want to do this early. Now, in the business world, you have decisions that are called build versus buy. So on curriculum development, and this is one type of grid you might use. So, but in curriculum development, there's 2 questions that you might ask: is how unique is the content to the organization? And for Christian organizations, it's going to be how important is values alignment, and how can you find values aligned content? A lot of Christian organizations assume that, we can't find things that are values aligned if we don't build it ourselves. Well, that may be true or it may not be true. So, but you should at least look. And then what resources do you have in-house? So, if what you're doing is very unique, but you have limited resources in your in-house, and this is what I see happen all the time. People will develop this extensive curriculum in-house, but the person developing that curriculum's never had any training in education. And they should have probably co-developed, or they should have worked with consultants or things along those lines. And City Vision can help co-develop curriculum. That's a part of what the purpose of the City Vision Institute website is that provides a foundation of curriculum that we could help you co-develop some of your material. And in the future, we're going to be doing consulting arrangements with organizations to do that. Now, if you have a lot of resources in-house, so say you got a lot of staff, so the largest organizations, they have high expertise, then you might want to develop in-house. And then the question is how unique is it? Or generic's probably the wrong word. Can you find it from outside that meets your needs and is values aligned? So if it meets your needs and is values aligned, you're going to buy regardless. Is basically the idea, because you don't want to build something that you could buy. So how many people build their cars from scratch these days? Not a whole lot. Sometimes if you're developing an educational program, it can be almost that complicated. So now, here's some build versus buy questions to consider. How closely aligned does the outside curriculum align with your values? Does it cost more to build it yourself than it does to buy it? Now, it may be that it costs more to build it yourself than to buy it, but you need that values alignment, right? How soon does the course need to be delivered? So, that may affect whether you build versus buy. Does building or buying significantly improve the quality of the offering and better address the needs? Can you buy a license for unlimited use, or do you have to continue to pay for each learner as you add them? These are all questions City Vision looks at whenever we're evaluating, do we use outside resources? How hard is it to build, and do you have the resources internally to build it? So a good example, creating a GED program is really hard. to build. You're going to outsource some components of that. You're not going to do it from scratch. You're not going to write the books. You're not going to create all the videos. That would just be too much work. But you might work with pre-existing curriculum. Is there a relational advantage to developing or delivering the curriculum yourself? So, for instance, if you're teaching people about the Bible, and the program director or a chaplain at your organization is the one providing that training, there's a big relational advantage. It's not so much the content of that sermon, but the fact it's being delivered by the program director. So you can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to show a sermon video. So there's a relational advantage, right? Now, let me talk about the levels of outsourcing for educational programs. So the easiest thing is to have an article. So just about every program, you might bring in an outside article and say, hey, read this outside article, right? Now, the reason why these build on each other is because often these can combine things. So a book is kind of more intensive. It's kind of a collection of articles. Now, often you can get Christian curriculum, Christian videos that integrate with books. Sometimes you can do those separate, but often you'll buy a Christian book and you can have videos. And then beyond that would be curriculum. So the difference between this and a course is that you're teaching the course. So you might get curriculum that includes videos, it includes some books, it might even include some links to outside articles. But what the curriculum does is it pulls all those together. It's the difference between buying, each of these could be viewed like Legos, and buying a Lego kit that's going to tell you how to assemble it into, whatever thing that you're assembling, right? A course, on the other hand, generally you're going to be outsourcing if you're buying a course. So that would be where, say City Vision would teach the course. Now you could use City Vision's curriculum or other curriculum, course curriculum from our City Vision Institute site. And then if you work with a third party for a course, often you can get credit recognition. So one of the partners we work with is the Urban Ministry Institute. It's a one-year Bible school, and we can grant credit for that if you use the Urban Ministry Institute curriculum and courses. And then program model. There's a lot of rescue missions will use this program that's called Genesis, and it's kind of a comprehensive thing. So it includes, courses, it includes curriculum, videos, books, articles, but it also says, here's how you should run your program. And not everyone uses all the elements of their program, but they have their own theory of change, and they help you bring that. Now, a fully outsourced sub-program might be you just decide, I'm going to outsource all of our GED activity to the local community college, and we're going to have an outsourced sub-program. Now, let me go into our website, rescuemissioncurriculum.org, because what this is really intended to be is a toolkit that can help you find more material. Now, you may not be, we could have called this residential recovery, curriculum.org, but that was just too long. But what this website is for those of you who are doing residential recovery or working with the homeless or the addicted, what we've done is we've worked with hundreds of organizations over the years, and we've seen what they've used. We've seen what works, and this is the best of the best of what we've found. So a lot of rescue missions will work with Right Now Media. It's kind of a Netflix for Christian videos that tie in often with books. Jobs for Life, probably used by 40 or 50 different Christian ministries. They have hundreds of sites out there. Financial Peace University is for financial skills. As I mentioned, the Urban Ministry Institute, they have 2,000 students, 1,000 of them are in prison in a one-year Bible school. Teen Challenge curriculum. The Genesis process is a program. Celebrate Recovery is a program. And then City Vision has, we have our curriculum available for this course, Rescue Mission Intern Orientation, that you could use. Now, as I mentioned, one level is you just work with the curriculum and you're going to teach using this curriculum. That's one level. And in some cases, these are more like programs. Another level would be you actually outsource the course. So you might want to outsource your training. What we've done here is we've identified these are the courses that are most helpful for clients. So rescue mission intern orientation, introduction to Christian addiction counseling, vocation, calling, and purpose of work, Bible courses, family issues and recovery, spirituality and addiction, sexual issues and addiction. So you could just say, and this is what a lot of Christian high schools will do. They'll say, you know what, we can't support all of the students and all the courses they might want to take. We'll offer some courses, and then we'll offer electives. And someone might take an AP physics course and they take it online, even though they're in a Christian school. It'd be the same type of thing for your, if you had a residential recovery program, you might say, okay, this person might want to become a Christian counselor, so they want to take Introduction to Christian Addiction Counseling. Or this person, one of their core issues is around sexual addiction, so they might take the Sexual Issues and Addiction course. Or, a lot of people have issues with their family. And essentially what you're doing is you're outsourcing the faculty component of that. So the faculty will be mentoring these students, the faculty will be supporting them, they'll be in a community of other students like that. Now, let me tie this back in with what I had showed. And at the bottom, we're increasingly collecting training materials and plans from other rescue missions to help you, do your job better. So all those things kind of relate back to this diagram that I had, of the different tiers. Most of those are at the curriculum level. Some of them are at the program level. City Vision was offering at the course level. Part of the advantage of working with some of that curriculum is if you go to that site, you can say which of this is available for credit. A lot of that curriculum, if you use that at your site, then we can actually grant credit for people if they come to City Vision University. I think Genesis, I think Toomey, Third Mill. Now, this is a little more detailed than you're going to go through right now. If you want, you could pause. But what you can look at is for each of these things, which of these components does it offer? Now, City Vision Institute, we offer articles, books, videos, curriculum, college credit. People could upgrade it for college credit, but its primary role is as a course. But the reason why I list all of these is if you want, you could just take the articles we linked and just use one of those articles. You could unbundle that. Same thing with the books. You could unbundle that. I've seen a lot of rescue missions that just started using our books or ministries. Same thing with the videos. And then for each of these, right now media is just videos, whereas Job for Life is books and curriculum and a program model. Financial Peace is primarily a course that you could outsource. Third Millennium is primarily a course, whereas the Urban Ministry Institute is primarily curriculum, but it also has videos and books that you could use. Teen Challenge is primarily curriculum. Celebrate Recovery is primarily a program model. Genesis Process is primarily a program model. And then you could have an outside school. So like working with a community college or a City Vision University where you would outsource. So as you're out, considering evaluating outside sub-programs. So what are the most common domains that people are going to do outside sub-programs? Well, high school equivalency or GED. Education and vocational trades. If you're going to train someone to be a welder, that's going to be beyond the scope or a plumber or something along those lines. Addiction counseling certification. Most organizations don't have that internally. So some of the most common examples, you might outsource these things to a community college. You might do a vocational technical school. You might work with your state or government might offer these things. City Vision University offers these things. And then the evaluation consideration is, convenience, values alignment, effectiveness, cost, what are the risks? You might send someone to a community college, but half the people at that community college might be using drugs regularly. And that you might be putting them at relapse, right? Or you might have issues with values alignment on what they're actually teaching in that. Now, if you're teaching welding, then you're probably less concerned about values alignment. But if they're going to be teaching things about, psychology or religion or, addiction counseling is actually really big because they'll come back and, they might have different understandings of worldview. So this is a diagram that talks about, the importance of Christian worldview and values alignment across subjects. So, if you're teaching math, then worldview really isn't that important, right? But if you're teaching philosophy and theology, then worldview becomes a lot more important. So, um, from my perspective, if you're doing GED and adult basic education and vocational training, that's more down in this domain. And then addiction counseling and nonprofit management, um, I believe that that's fairly far up in this domain. You send people, and business is a little bit less, but you send people to a community college to learn about addiction counseling, and they come back and they have they've been taught completely different philosophies, towards morality, towards worldview, that, we're all just a bunch of, you know, uh, just not, spiritual divine beings, but we're all just a collection of atoms, right? And that's, not really the worldview that we're trying to support. So you have to think about that in terms of, what you're outsourcing. So, the more the values alignment, it becomes more important, and the value alignment is less important over here. So this is just an example of build versus buy decision. So adult basic education and high school equivalency, you decide that you want to go with the community college because of the level of difficulty. It's really difficult to do that really well, and it doesn't affect your values that much. Or another decision you might do is you might go with GED training software because of the level of difficulty and little effect on values, but you might use the training software because you're outsourcing 90% of it, but you want them to stay within your facility, right? Or addiction counseling. So, one option would be to go to community college or state training agency because it's local and it's in person. And you might just be willing to live with the fact that there's significant values alignment in training on moral choices, sexuality, and overall worldview. A lot of the organizations that work with us they work with City Vision University because of the importance of values alignment, and they recognize it's covered by a Pell Grant. So, it's free either way for most of the clients. And they decide to work with City Vision University, and then they take the courses online through a computer lab or something along those lines. So that's just an example. I'm hoping that this material is helpful. We want this course not just to be a course. We want this course to be a toolkit so that you learn this stuff, but we want you to go out into the world. So it may be these examples. I realize our history, we came from Christian ministries that are serving the homeless and addicted, and some of you may not be in those domains. So, if the examples or the curriculum that we provided aren't the right examples for you, go research it, find it for yourself. But what I want you to do is in the assignment for this week, so what you're going to be doing is, look at what are the outside materials and resources that's currently used, then try to learn from other organizations, just, Googling them. Then learn from other organizations by emailing them or interviewing them. And this part's going to be hard, so spend a lot of time on that. And then researching outside curriculum and resources. So find some outside books you might use in your program, some outside videos. So these could be from YouTube or Vimeo or DVDs. Identify outside curriculum. So that could be Rescue Mission curriculum, City Vision Institute, or if you're doing GED, program, you could look for GED prep reviews, or you could just do a Google search of curriculum in whatever education area you have. Look for outside educational partners and outside material and resources. And then, what we want you to do is, so this is all kind of brainstorming. This next is going to be evaluating. So what's your initial build versus buy recommendation? So what are the program components that you think you should be building? In some cases, you may have already built some, but you're like, nah, we'd be better off outsourcing. Co-developing. So you may say, City Vision's vocation, calling, and purpose of work is great, but it doesn't quite meet our needs. We'd like to, work with City Vision as a consultant to create a custom course for us. Or, you hire some other consultant, right? And then outsourcing would be program components that you entirely outsource. And that's really what the focus of this week is. So if you have any questions, please ask your faculty member. Thanks a lot.